Chapter 7. Windmaling. Wind. The colours of fire had vanished from the land, and the earthy green was restored. The cool air fell softly on Garamili's cheek as she sat on a smooth rock upon the hill and watched the village people move about. The people herded new animals, tended the soil, constructed buildings. A tall church had been erected on the spot where the old one perished into ashes. This one was made of stone and looked strong as it towered above the people. Garamili walked down towards the oak tree, the one she often sheltered under. She passed sheep, cows, and people working hard as they managed the land. Some men and women were working in a large garden surrounded by a fence. Garamili watched their movements as they dug up the soil, turned the dirt, and pulled out unwanted weeds and plants. An older man called to the workers, "Make sure you get the weed from the root." A small boy played around the edge of the garden. He squealed with delight. "Mama, look, a bug! I can get it." He scooped it up in his hands to gently examine it. His mother was unconcerned as she pulled a vegetable from the ground. "This beet is rotten. I need a knife." The older man passed her a knife. "Careful, the beet does not stain your skirt." The boy squealed as the bug dropped from his hand. "Oh no, it is in the dirt." He frantically searched the soil, disappointed the bug had escaped. Garamili noticed some of the trees in the forest had disappeared. This land had been used and changed according to the needs of the people who ruled. Garamili wondered how the people made sure that the stories of the land survived and were passed on to the next generation. Garamili's people passed stories down to their children through their daily practices and by yarning around the fire. When Garamili arrived at the site of the old oak tree, it was gone. There was a new tree in its place, reborn from the soil. She touched its strong young trunk and felt the life within. This was the cycle of life for all living things. Robin dropped from an upper branch and landed on Garamili's shoulder. "You're here." The old oak had lived its life and made way for the new, which grows stronger every day. The Vikings have brought many changes to our land and language. They have new words, and they have changed some of the old words to suit them. Together, Robin and Garamili rested under the branches and watched as animals grazed in the fields. In the distance, they noticed a figure emerge from the shrinking forest. He appeared to be carrying something. As they approached the village, a group of children ran towards him. "You found a wild boar, father." "Yes, a big slaughter. It has strong skin to make winter coats, and we will have steak for all. It will help your ill mother get her strength." A voice rang from the nearby stables. "You are a good husband, Edric. That will help your sick wife. She will be very happy." Robin gazed up at Garamili. "We now have new words that have similar meanings, like ill and sick, craft and skill, shatter and scatter. Husband is a new word too. Come, let's learn some more new words." The path that led into town had been newly carved into the earth. The old Roman road was nowhere to be seen, buried under mounds of soil that had gathered over time. The gates of the village were open and people were free to wander in and out. Inside the walls, the town buzzed with life and activity. Everyone was busy tending to their daily chores. Chickens pecked at the grass while a man stood in a sheltered workshop carving furniture from wood. A new house was being erected by a group of young men. "The window must be here," reminded a woman as she watched the construction with a look of concern. Robin explained. "A window is a gap in the wall. It means the eye for the wind, another new word from the Vikings." Garamili continued through town, listening to all the new words as she moved in and amongst the people. Window, knife, law, loan, give, take, wing, skate, rotten, dirt, choose, crawl, race, run, loose, weak. All these words flooded her thoughts. Garamili stood near a group of women and young girls. They sat gathered around a stone slab. The women laughed and chatted as girls listened while they plucked at corn. They placed the corn into the stone slab and took turns crushing and grinding it into flour, like Garamili did with wattle seeds back home. Nearby, an older lady worked the flour as she kneaded dough on a tough wooden bench. When she was ready, she placed the dough into a clay oven. The sweat dripped from her forehead as she pushed the dough into the glowing furnace. "Ah, this oven is hot on my skin. I need water." A small girl picked up a cup of water and passed it to her. "When will we make cake? We always make bread, Hertha. We could make lots of cakes for all the children." The older lady named Hertha wiped the sweat from her face as she laughed. Back to the corn, Ada. We have work to do. Take your seat. Garamili smiled as she watched the girls. She remembered the times when she worked with her friends and the women in Watarongland, listening to stories and working hard for all her people. Baking, harvesting, and weaving. This must be how they passed on their stories and their language. Robin interrupted her thoughts. The Vikings did not like the long words people used for plurals. A plural means more than one. Once they used words like bread and breadroo for the plural, egg and eggroo, name and namen, but it was too long for them, so the Vikings got rid of the plural ending, and now we just add s to the end. Except some words like children, that stayed. Garamili thought about this. This made sense as Garamili remembered why she was here, repeating words in her mind. Cake, cakes. Child, children. Oven, ovens. Name, names. Egg, eggs. Lamb, lambs. Garamili was exhausted as she began to walk back to her resting place by the tree. The village children and families began to pack up their work, ready to settle into their houses for the evening. When she reached the tree, she leant on the youthful trunk. The sun had completely faded from the sky, and the stars sparkled from above with their northern shapes and stories. She felt a few rabbits and squirrels come to her side. How grateful she was for their company. A rooster roused the village to life as the sun spread its light over the morning fields. Garamili sat up, startled by the unfamiliar sound. She noticed the rabbits hopping away into the distance as the village began to stir. Robin dived down from the branch above to greet her. Together they walked back to the town. It was a new day, full of new words. People were already busy with their daily duties, tending to what needed to be done. Garamili spent the day exploring every corner of the village, learning new words and sounds. Her thoughts were interrupted by a group of men and women in the town centre, discussing something frantically. Their faint chatter became louder and louder. A lady near Garamili stood, looking concerned. She put her work down and followed the sounds of arguing until she reached the town centre. Garamili and Robin followed. Garamili approached the crowd with caution. The people appeared angry or scared. We lost the Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror won the battle. The French will own our land. The people appeared distressed and confused. But how? Why? They do not speak as we do. Soon the number of people gathered had doubled, and they spoke with fear and uncertainty. Robin interrupted Garamili's thoughts. France is a land across the sea. They will rule for a long time now. This is the last time people will take over by fighting. The last great battle of ownership of this land. The French will change many things. Now you must go. Your great eagle will be waiting for you. Garamili left the village behind as she walked. She remembered the evening by the camp at home, the confused look on the elders' faces as they argued about the new arrivals on the land, fearful of what was to come, uncertain. Bunjil was perched on a hilltop, waiting. Garamili thanked Robin and climbed upon the strong back of her ancestral spirit. They gently drifted over the land before speeding up towards the stars. Garamili looked back and hoped the French would be kind to them. Perhaps one day they would know peace, this green village of England.